So this is a presentation from the City of Windsor for the Adie Knox Recreation Center feasibility study. And this is, it's Tony Jemmy from Archon Architect here speaking on behalf of the city and on behalf of Archon for the city. We're the consultants hired for this project. And sorry, I'm one slide ahead here and I can't see easily how to go back, but I was just going to talk about that people can, they will be muted. I think you can see me now, or well, maybe not, but at the end of it, if you can't see my video now, feed now, you will see it at the end during the Q&A period. We're going to go through the presentation and then have a Q&A at the end. All the attendees are muted. The way you can contact us is through the Q&A, whether you have questions or if you have as well video or connection problems, you can go through that route. There will be surveys. Actually, they are on the website. You can go to the website and see it there. But there will be 3 surveys at the end. One for this study specifically, the overall center for your input, and then 2 more, one for the playground, one for the splash pad, to get your input onto programmatic items, specific pieces you'd like to see, and theming. But again, Q&A will happen afterwards, and then you can go to the website to download responses. You can download a fillable form, or you can, I think you can respond online in the survey. As mentioned, I'm Anthony Jemmy from Archon Architects Incorporated. On with us today is Stephanie Steers, also from our office, in support, and you'll hear her at the end, managing questions. Along with us, our consultant team, Haddad Morgan & Associates structural engineers and civil engineers, Jazzle Engineering, mechanical and electrical engineering support for us, and MCW Custom Energy Solutions, who were brought in for a grant program for green and inclusive community buildings grant program to make the building more energy efficient to the point of getting to net zero at some point in the future. Okay, so what started this off here? Motions adopted by council directives or what got it going. Some time ago, they did the Windsor Recreation Master Plan. This study is a direct fallout of that. So it's good to see that there's one study leading to a study in terms of implementation. Then there were council resolution, the first one after the master plan for this project, asking for a feasibility study to be conducted. And what the council mandated was a feasibility study to explore the possibilities of refocusing Adie Knox as a modern, high-quality community hub, while adding a gym, program rooms, and a walking track to the facility. The Recreation Master Plan notes the emergence of community hubs as a model for community centers, and this relates to collaboration with community organizations and private partners. And so there's a partnering between community organizations and the municipality to expand program offerings and increase the relevance to any neighborhood or community. Adie Knox was specifically identified as a facility well suited for this type of growth and modernization based on a community hub model. This project was started in 2020, but was accelerated at the beginning of this year as a result of the government of Ontario, sorry, but anyway, the government offering a green and inclusive community buildings grant program. So there's a grants, they wanted to encourage municipalities to make their buildings more energy efficient, more community inclusive, and so now they're offering grants to support that. and the city is going after these grants. And that was the resolution. So there was that resolution, and then they decided to go after those grants. And then there was a third resolution was to relocate the aquatics program at Adie Knox to the new pool facility being built at the University of Windsor, to partner with the University of Windsor at a new facility versus upgrading the existing facility at Adie Knox for pools. So that decision has been taken and was given as direction for completing the study. And those are the basis on which this study has been done. And that's what you're going to see presented here today as well. In general, there were facility upgrades first to be done throughout the facility. Enhanced accessibility was a big focus. New universal washroom, wider doorways and hallways, new automatic door operators, new ramp and connection between the two levels of the facility, tactile, color contrasting wayfinding features, signage, low glare lighting, acoustic panels, accessible seating for the viewing area. Right. And the other big initiative was, one of the other big initiatives was green initiatives and sustainable energy use. There is the intent to, and the commitment to get to a new net zero carbon mechanical equipment for the equipment and the facility, including geothermal field and heat recovery, as well as high performance cladding, new LED lighting, and solar PV panels on the roof of the addition. And then getting back to the community hub concept, display spaces for the arts, culture, diversity, that would allow for those types of community involvement. And along with that are a variety of seating areas that you're going to see with views to program spaces and to the outside as being the apparatus that's going to support the city to expand the programs with the community partners and create this vibrant community hub, which is envisioned for Adie Knox. Here you see the current building site, which includes the arena. I hope you can see my pointer here. The arena, the current pool, and the historic Richardson Library building. Building and Wilson Park to the south, which is 2 ball fields right now, is the main components there. There is an alley that separates the residential properties along fronting on McCabe to the park. The grade, one of the main features is a large drop in the elevation from the upper lands where the community center is facing Wyandotte at the corner of Wyandotte and McEwen, and then it drops 10 feet roughly along this line down to Wilson Park. The slope is more prominent behind the arena and gradually evens out closer to McEwen Avenue. This 10-foot drop is something that we did have to take into account, and you will see how we did that in our proposal. All right, just a note for the people who have gone to the website and seen some of the PDF of the PowerPoint. That PowerPoint PDF doesn't include some graphics like this line and a few other things that were added, doesn't change the content, so that you'll see those slight differences, but we improved the graphics on this presentation. It just happened to sequencing that it got done near the end for this presentation. So, and that's just to improve visibility and readability for the users and for us to point to as well. The new program spaces, what people can expect. New gymnasium, number 1, 102 feet by 78 feet, which is a community-sized gym with a room divider, as well the new dressing rooms and a gym storage to accommodate this facility. There's 4 new multi-purpose rooms. These rooms are joined together in pairs and you can has a total capacity of up to 200 persons combined. Plus, there's a new teaching kitchen. You'll see how it's adjoined to one and actually two of the rooms, plus the storage specific to the multi-purpose room to allow a variety of programming to go on, and so those become flexible program rooms. There's a new art room maker space, which is a remake of a room in the Richardson building through very minimal changes, probably more so programmatic changes, and a new indoor walking track of 483 feet, along with the community hub spaces and open seating. These are the program spaces, program items that are committed to right off the bat. Optional spaces, which will only be done when funding becomes available, and the city is well along its way in trying to get garner that funding in a shared fashion with the municipal or with the government, with the upper levels of government. The items that are included as optional are a fitness center, which would be, you'll see, will be done as an addition, music room as well, along with that fitness center. Fitness center would accommodate approximately 41 people. Music room is a medium-sized to smaller room for 4 to 5 people tops. So it's more of a private lesson room. Ice resurfacing room with ice melting pit is seen to improve the efficiency of the existing arena. It will make use of sustainable heat recovery. The new dressing room in the arena, which would be larger in size than existing dressing rooms and provide better accessible design and accommodations. Again, those are pending funding approval on those items. New exterior items, 2 items that are committed now are a new playground and a new splash pad. Both of those, as mentioned, are the subject of surveys at the end of this. We'll mention they're available online now until October 8th. Part of a slide that doesn't show up was, this brings to mind, is that we're here on September 11th at 2 o'clock as the second presentation. First presentation was yesterday, 10 o'clock. Yesterday was the first presentation at 2 o'clock on September 10th. There will be one more presentation September 16th, next Thursday in the evening, to give the best exposure we can and accessibility for people with different schedules. Optional items, again, with the exterior items, optional items outside will be an outdoor walking track of 1/3 of a kilometer in length, tennis pickleball court combination, and a basketball court with flex court ground surface. So here you have again the existing field, the existing site. I haven't mentioned, but there is an existing daycare, private daycare on the block, which also makes use of the center at times, and in the future we'll be able to make even more use of it. So here is getting into it. Here's your first view of the proposed layout and proposal for the redesign of the Reimagined Adie Knox facility. Both committed and optional items. The legend up in the upper right lets you color codes things so you can see the main circulation, which is yellow, and all of the colors are darker inside of the renovated building. So the red outline shows you the existing building as it exists today. Anything outside of that is an addition, largest addition being to the west. Circulation is shown yellow, darker in the existing building, a little lighter in the addition, just to differentiate those two. Seating options, again, darker orange inside, a little lighter orange outside in the additions. Optional items are in the rose, a little darker than salmon colored. They get a little lighter when they get outside of the building. Existing areas that are not really changed, but are subject to upgrade are the gray areas. So those areas are left largely untouched except for upgrading. One of those items being new LED lighting throughout the facility. New program areas that are committed, again, I'm sorry, so the optional items are in the red rose colors, and the new program areas that are committed are in blue, again, darker for ones darker within the building and I guess within the park, and lighter blue in the addition. Just checking my notes for anything else. We're going to zoom in now to the floor plan, and this will give you, and we'll just speak a little bit to this. The existing building shown, dark red, thick border right around it. Outside, I think I've gone through all of this pretty well in my notes here, again, talking about the legend and the colors. Is there anything else? I would point out one of the main features to focus on is this galleria space, which is a large open corridor that has seating, walking track, as well as meant for regular circulation. This will be one of the main features of our proposal. I'll talk more about the specifics of that as we go along, but I just wanted to bring a focus to that now. In the design concept, so we reviewed the building, and the existing facility has had multiple additions. So there's actually five separate portions, 4 additions to the first building, a collection of spaces, but they had very little organization. Certainly it worked, you could get to those spaces, but it wasn't as easily understood as it could be. And that was one of the focuses of the design, is to bring a level of clarity to the project, clarity to the organization. And the new design does this mainly. One of the main features is, again, this galleria, new main corridor, now north-south added, a central reception desk, and a seating area. And then that provides the focus and unifying structure by the new corridor, the new galleria corridor it jogs and is connected to the existing north corridor of the facility, and at the main focus, which is at the reception desk and a couple of main seating areas, creating the central focus for the facility. We'll show that shortly in a diagrammatic fashion and in plan. And along with that, again, as always, is a high quality campus style community hub is the target for this. And to support that, there are 5 main seating areas, which we will show you. So we'll see the plan. Here's the diagram, the main organizing diagram overlaid over top of the plan, and then some additional comments here. Okay, so the main galleria gets added alongside of the existing arena. Since there are no windows in that side of the arena, and therefore no views, we put service spaces along that side. So the main organization is, here's your main circulation. This draws the building to the south and creates a new entrance centrally located, and it helps to, this is what actually gives you that transition down to the park and an entrance in the park, creating a new main entrance, and then adding program spaces off on the west side, because that's where you have views to, the rest of the park, the parking area, the church across the street, the Gothic Revival Church across the street, which is a beautiful edifice, Life After 50, who will be making use of this facility as well. The daycare center, again, fronts on what is really becomes a civic precinct here, a bit of a neighborhood civic precinct, intentionally, as well as maintaining some of the park, some of the existing trees here. Let me just check my notes again. Carved out existing. Okay, so to end, the other main portion is this central focus area, which is carved out of the existing lobby of the arena, and then added to by having the blue here is the reception desk, which sits right at the confluence of both corridors, the north corridor, the new south corridor, They control those two main corridors and provide support to the seating areas, the two main seating areas, and then you'll see there are other seating areas as well. But that is the basics diagram for the building, easily understood as you come in either entrance. Once you get to the central area, you see, you know, a couple steps away, you can see and orient yourself quite easily. So I don't think it's be a matter of being lost in the facility. There are some other offshoots into the Richardson building and into the other building, but again, we tried to connect those as well. Oh, and along with that, there is a third entrance, that a west entrance facing Life After 50, which would probably be the main entrance used for people from Life After 50 coming across to make use of the facility, which we hope happens even more. All right. So here's an image of that main organizing feature, the galleria. In here, you can see we're standing at the reception desk looking south, so you'd be looking towards the park through those windows. Not that you can see it from here, but you realize that that's where you're headed. And so this is a long, wide space. It's tall, naturally lit by clerestory windows along its side. We're giving you an idea of what the character could be with these wood frames or other structures. This is not defined yet. That'll be decided when we actually get to the design portion and implementation of this project. But this is an idea of giving an idea to the attendees, the public, and future designers of what's intended. You can see service spaces are lined up along this side. Washrooms and service spaces for staff. On the right side is where we've got program rooms. This corridor heads off. The reception area can look down this corridor to see the multi-purpose rooms and have a measure of control there, as well as being able to guide people. Other program rooms can offshoot off the corridor further down by the south entrance. And the west entrance is just off to the right here, where we see this group of people standing. There's sitting areas here, as well as the entrance. As well, that'll be the main service entrance for deliveries, which again, the reception desk will be in direct contact with. Okay, I think I've covered most of the points there. Here we are back at the main plan and giving you an example, showing you where that image is taken from. In plan, that image was taken from roughly this location in front of the reception desk, looking south towards the main entrance and the park. I don't think I need to speak any more to that one. We're going to transition to another one of the views, and this is a view standing in this location just to the east of the new reception desk. In that main gathering space, that main focal point, looking towards the east, which is this family, we're calling this seating area the family hangout area, just outside of the arena. It opened up that space because there were some other rooms in there. We're opening that right up to create a larger seating area for, we foresee a lot of families that have children participating in events in the arena and being able to sit outside, look through the glass at them if they didn't want to be inside seating and watching them there, or maybe they've got more than one child. And so they're trying to have options for seating and accommodating other children as well. And yeah, it's two-tiered because there is a change in elevation of 2 feet from the existing building down to the existing arena that exists now. We can't change that. We are just changing the way that happens and opening it up so that that connection between the upper level and the lower level is a lot more open and inviting, and actually joining the two halves of the facility together. And enhancing part of the program is to open up the views better here, provide more glass for viewing. There'd be a new stair and a new ramp added or provided to make that transition even better. The next seating area I want to give you is outside the gymnasium. This is in which will be able to take advantage of existing south windows that are currently servicing the pool, but those windows will remain. They have a great view south, again, to the park. You can see the church. You could even, as a little more obliquely, see the Life After 50. That seating area will be remote from the main active areas up in the galleria. So it just gives a different type of seating experience for people. And they can then also see into the new gymnasium through some large glazed walls there. Again, connecting the activity there, at least visually, to the seating area outside. And that's shown here in plan, or actually, sorry, shown here in plan. I have to be careful which screen I'm looking at. So it's here looking back at the gymnasium and the seating area here with views to the south. Okay, out in the park, we're showing you 4 examples just to let you see what may be there. These are not proposed, these are examples and meant to be used in conjunction with the survey online on the city website for you to provide input into what types of program items you'd like to see in the playground, and even you have your comments about theming. These are 4 examples of different themed playgrounds and with elements that you can look at for examples, and certainly you can look at any examples throughout the city or anywhere you would like to provide your input to the city on this, and they will compile this, and all of the answers will be compiled. Anything from the surveys, anything that you write in the Q&A and we respond to, all goes as a matter of record and goes into fine tuning and making adjustments and to finalize the proposal for this feasibility study. Like the playground, we have the same thing happening for the splash pad, showing you 3 examples that you can look at for features, individual features, and theming that you'd like to consider and provide your input. Again, a separate survey for the splash pad available online. These are the locations. Interesting, important to note that these facilities are close to the main entrance at the south end, so that people can come outside and use those directly. People can come inside to use washrooms, which are inside. That was one of the questions that we wanted to clarify at the first session. And yes, people from outside would come inside to use the washrooms inside. We feel that's better than providing a separate standalone building outside, which has to be seasonally maintained, closed down. It doesn't get policed as well. This way, staff can control, maintain, and manage that facility much better, so you have a better experience, and you can come inside out of inclement weather as well as a respite from the park. Okay, we're going to take you on a tour of the main interior program spaces by quadrant, and give a little bit of discussion on each one of those. The first is the gymnasium quadrant. Shown here is the location, here's the blow up, and in here, obviously, the biggest element there is the new gymnasium. It's a community-sized gym with divider, new dressing rooms. The previous pool change rooms will be renovated to be purpose-built gymnasium change rooms with lockers, showers, washrooms, and benches. They will be barrier-free, built for accessibility with larger showers, as well as space for the larger bathroom stalls, sinks, and all the amenities that would be needed for accessibility, as well as able-bodied people. And there you go. Those will be added for the gymnasium, as well as a new gym storage, which would be added to make the new gymnasium as flexible as possible, since certainly it's not always used as a gym, used as other program items as well. You have the seating area we talked about previously, directly outside of it. There is this is all accessed off of the north corridor via the existing, which was more or less a service corridor, but this corridor heading down east-west, westerly from the existing north-south corridor, and extending that further to the seating area in the gymnasium. And as well, we've opened up another opening here through the former pool mechanical that also traverses the transition 2 feet down to the main central reception area by a set of stairs, as well as a ramp in a wide open space, so that this connects you a little more directly. You can go directly from the main area of the whole facility directly to the gymnasium without having to go around a back road. But that provides options, so you can actually circulate right around this area. Anything else I want to say? The family change room remains largely as it is. I think they'll be upgrading for lighting, and I'm not sure if there'll be another change maybe in the shower area, but in any case, we see that as functioning quite well right now and will be continued. New storage. There are some provisional items, optional, that are provisional based on funding. New offices, custodial closet, and a lunchroom for staff. The existing server room would remain. Multi-purpose storage room, as well as, so that's additional multi-purpose storage room, and another storage room here, separate from the gym storage, but likely could be used for people if there's events happen in the seating area, or something other than athletic events maybe happen in the gymnasium. So there's extra storage here that is always used for and needed for these types of facilities. You can see right here in the upper right corner how the reception desk, better on the other plan, but it certainly has the views down the main galleria, but if you step to the side, it extends into the north-south corridor, so it controls all of those spaces. All right. The next quadrant we're going to is the courtyard. We're calling this the courtyard corridor because all of the facilities get to take advantage of views into there. The Richardson building remains pretty much as it is, as a standalone, almost completely standalone building. Will improve the access to it, and but program rooms can take advantage of the views into the courtyard. Optional item is the provisional optional item is the fitness center and the music room as an addition in the courtyard, still itself as well taking advantage of the courtyard, as well as the music room taking advantage of it. New dressing room funding permitted will be built here. The family hangout is something that is going ahead now, or will be going ahead. And this is the large open area on the east side of the main focal point. The existing main north-south corridor provides access into the change rooms for the gymnasium, as well as this corridor to get to the seating in the gymnasium and service spaces, including offices that are renovated a little bit to function a little better for the staff. I think I've covered everything from my notes there. The next area, which is probably the most important, we're calling this the multi-purpose quadrant, just because that's the biggest program element in this area. So we get the 4 multi-purpose rooms in this corridor that angles off of the main galleria space, visible from the receptionist down there. There's also a doorway into the program room, which is further down. Multi-purpose storage serving directly to these multi-purpose space. These are 4 separate rooms. They can be joined together with a partition into pairs of rooms. They're going to put a solid room between the 2 pairs of rooms. At this point, that's the intent. There is a teaching kitchen directly attached to the first and second rooms. So you can go, the intent is to have people come into the kitchen for classes on cooking, as well as be able to sit outside and talk to people in the kitchen. And this is also intended to be a full working commercial kitchen for servicing events certainly in the multi-purpose rooms directly attached, but certainly down the corridor to other spaces in the whole facility, including multi-purpose room, program rooms, and even up into the gymnasium possibly. You can see how the main galleria has a central seating area. That's seen to be largely fairly flexible space with seating options, display spaces. Maybe there's a space in the middle for display or an event to happen there. People can sit in this area and take advantage of watching other people circulate through the facility and seating activities, as well as there may be activities directly there. There's the walking track which goes around that. It would be a different colored, it'd be marked by different color flooring. Not that people can't cross it, just to be aware that when you're on the walking track, that there's people that want to walk for exercise, but we made this space wide enough that you can still circulate outside of that. You can circulate directly adjacent to the seats, outside of along certainly the outside, to get to the washrooms on the east side, custodial rooms there. There's another space here we'll talk about later. And the idea is, again, you can see this area at the north end of the galleria opens up to become wide. You have the new west entry seating area, west entrance here, loading spaces directly accessible so that people can come in with deliveries and directly be controlled by the reception desk. All right, and again, that entrance is the entrance that heads directly to Life After 50, as well as the daycare on site, because they can also come here and bring students here to take advantage of the spaces and programs. Again, this is seen to be the heart of the Reimagined facility. Bright open space here, certainly windows here, windows for the program spaces as well. And now the last quadrant of the facility is the south end. So this is the entrance lobby and we're calling this the south entrance quadrant. So this is where we make the transition down the 10 feet to the lower level of the site, to the Wilson Park level of the site. We do this by having a large stair, more so to keep it open and allow more light in as well. Lower lobby with a large vestibule, and there'll be a canopy out here as well. One of the things we've done to make this space as accessible as possible so people can wait in the large vestibule. For people picking them up, they can wait outside under the canopy to get inside. There'll be sliding doors here like most of the city facilities right now. You can come in, go up the stairs, or go directly into the elevator from the lower level, go up the 10 feet, and it opens on the opposite side at the upper level. There's also discussion about putting a ramp system directly to the east of this entry is that steep slope down from the arena and the community center level down to the park. There's talk of putting a outdoor ramp system gradually up this slope. It would swing out and back, and it would have level areas at intervals along the way so that you can stop, and so you don't have to be traveling uphill constantly for that distance, which would be upwards of 120 feet of travel, and seating areas possibly along the way. And they're also talking about other program items that might be on those slopes. But here you see the end of the galleria, which ends at the lower level, the seating area, some extra display space, some service spaces. And directly below this end of the galleria is mechanical space needed to serve the galleria, as well as from that mechanical space, there'll be water and electricity that will go out to the splash pad area. One of the questions we had was why we couldn't incorporate ramps to make this indoor transition from the lower level to the upper level. And we responded to that previously to say that, well, we gave you the the truth of that is that a 10-foot change in elevation would require at a minimum 1 to 12 slope, 120 feet of ramp, which is a substantial amount of ramp. And you would have to, and you wouldn't be allowed by code, and you wouldn't want to do that in one stretch. So you'd have to have level areas in between. So total length would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 140 feet. And we did look at options for terracing down the whole facility. It becomes very complicated and it really breaks up the space. And it just created a lot of troubles in the design. As well, it would increase the floor space substantially. We have already committed to making the galleria space a wide space so that we don't have the conflicts between the walking track and people just circulating in the space. So there's already been a commitment to add more area than is really needed to make this space workable as a community hub. We felt that to push it further with terracing and bringing indoor ramps was just probably taking this facility beyond what would be reasonably economically for this facility. So that was a value judgment made during the design process with the city and ourselves on that note. Actually, I can mention as well here, there was a question raised, sorry to take up a little more time here, but there was a question raised about worrying that there would be a conflict between the walking track and people in the seating areas. One person mentioned that at the Capri, we get that conflict where people don't necessarily stay in the seating areas and they come across because of they're looking at the arena, what's happening in the arenas, or interacting with people coming in and out of there, and there being more of a conflict. In this scheme, we have a little bit shaded out here, you'll see it, but we have the family hangout area, which is directly across from and with views into the arena, which we see as being the space where families, parents, children would be who are more related to the activities in the arena. So we're hoping that that would alleviate that type of conflict a little bit more, since there aren't athletic undertaking like arena or the gymnasium directly off of the galleria. So that now you're getting people that are mainly plain clothes that are walking and at the same pace and for roughly the same reasons in the galleria space. So it still becomes a lively space without that conflict is what we hope. But certainly raise those questions, because that's what it's going to make the facility better in the end when we address those. All right, so as we mentioned, the main focus here is to create a community hub. And this is one of the main spaces at the central focus area is the family hangout, recapping that image again, as well as the other options, which gives you a variety of seating areas throughout the facility, the one out by the gymnasium. But certainly the hallmark of this design is the galleria space. Again, this same view, which there's a large open space where we're standing with seating to the right, seating to the left, services to the left, to the east side, and program spaces along the west side to the right, and the walking track, as well as additional space beside it, around it, such that everything can happen here. All those things work together to enliven this space, tall, open space with clerestory, natural lighting, to really make this a space that people are going to want to spend time in. And with that note, that is the end of the presentation. So thank you to the attendees on this session. And we definitely want you to encourage you to provide feedback. You can go to citywindsor.ca, which is a City Windsor website. Those surveys will close on October the 8th. There are 3 surveys that you'll see there. There is the survey for this feasibility study for the overall facility in the park. Then there is specific surveys for the playground and the splash pads. Certainly, we encourage you to submit your comments for wherever you want to on all 3 of those surveys, as well as there's going to be a Q&A session coming up immediately in a few minutes. This is just to let you know that, again, all of those responses, all of those interactions with the public, anybody commenting will be compiled, will be looked at, will form the basis for finalizing the design, making adjustments to it, and arriving at the final feasibility proposal. So, thank you. So, well, actually, I just did want to, I'll give you one more note. On the city website, a little advice. So, city, again, citywindsor.ca, www.citywindsor.ca, go to the website location. Once you're there, go to the tabs, navigate on the website from the home page to For Residents, go to that section. Once you're in that section, go to the Building Windsor's Future. And within that section, go to the Reimagined Adie Knox Herman Recreation Complex tab and section, and there'll be multiple tabs there. With this whole presentation will be available as a video, as a PDF for you to view at your leisure, and as well as the overall plan will be there for you to view, and other resources and ways of contacting and inputting your information to the city. So now we're wrapped up. Now we're going into the Q&A session. I do see some questions from participants, and I'll turn it over to my assistants, to Stephanie, to give me the first question.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Stephanie Sears. So our first question we have about the indoor walking track being too short. So they say, how is this a walking track and not just a corridor? So can you talk about why the walking track is the size that it is and located where it is?
Thank you. Good question. And I hate to say it, but part of this is economics. But we did look at other options to this question. I think this is Philippa. And yes, so we tried to find a balance here, create a good sized walking track, which goes up and down within the main space. That doesn't mean you're held to just walking there. You could walk further and go over into the other seating areas and back and circulate. And you can circulate around that core area by that loop pathway that we've shown before. Just it's not going to be as defined, but yes, unfortunately, it does come back to economics. We looked at actually putting a dedicated walking track around some of the other facilities, some of the other program rooms, all the way around the outside of them, such that you wouldn't necessarily have exterior windows from those program rooms, but they would have views through the walking track to exterior windows. That sort of thing was going to cost, and I forget, we actually did a costing of that, and I think it was upwards of over $1 million for that type of accommodation. I think it was $1.5 million, maybe, if I remember correctly. But the decision was taken at that time to not take up that extra area, floor space. At that point, most all of that would have been dedicated to just walking track and circulation space, not necessarily into program rooms. So that was the way that decision was taken. I hope that covers that in somewhat of a satisfactory fashion for you.
Great. So the second question, we have a comment about the small amount of bike racks being added. So we have the bike racks in the front on Wyandotte that are remaining, and then we are adding 8 new bike parking spaces in the south entrance. And this person asks, with all the additional parking of cars from what the center has now, this seems like a car-centric plan. And then has the city considered adding any safer places for bikes to park? So indoors or in a cage or something.
Sorry, I'm just trying to navigate to a plan that we can refer to. That's all I did. Let me get out of this.
Yeah, so I think part of that answer can be answered by saying that we've added at least what the minimum bike parking is required by zoning, right?
There we go. Okay, so yes, Stephanie, yes, that is what we've done. That's what we're showing right at the moment. Is it the minimum, Stephanie, or did we go beyond the minimum? I'm trying to recall if we did. Oh, geez, I keep going back to a slide that automatically goes forward. This is trying. I apologize to everybody here. Let me get back to. There we go. This one. That'll work for us. It's not gonna progress. Okay, sorry. Yes, for that, the person asking that questions, we've got bike spaces shown, and at this point, they are fairly minimal. There is plenty of space to add plenty more bike spaces outside of entrances. Whether or not we provide indoor or covered bike parking spaces, I think that's, again, a very excellent suggestion and enhancement for the facility, and certainly in keeping with mobility and the focus to actually make for more active transportation to make use of this facility. Yeah, I think you've picked on something that maybe we haven't focused on well enough yet, and is worth considering for before we finalize this. So I think that's the way I would answer that. That admittedly, I think you picked on something, you found something that we haven't maybe addressed well enough and should take a second look at, or more of a look at. Thank you.
And so our third question is, have you considered the greenhouse impact of the additional parking where there is green space currently? How will the heat island effect be addressed?
Again, another good question on the heat island effect here of the parking areas in general. Yeah, will be, we haven't specifically addressed what should happen in those parking areas. But we have certainly talked about making the whole facility approach net zero, or get to a net zero energy consumption status at some point in the future, and with PV panels on the roof. So yes, we're doing those sort of things for the facility. The heat island effect in the parking area is something that we need to maybe do a little more work on as well. There are options in that area. The material used for the parking area. I guess one thing we have done, and I should point out, is we haven't provided like substantially more than what is required. What you're seeing is the amount of parking that is required for the facility because of the increased size of the facility. So yes, that is an issue to be addressed. We don't have a definitive answer yet on that, but yes, that is something that we should take a look at it. And so another good question, and something we will have to address before we finalize this study.
Okay, great. We don't currently have any other questions at the moment. So if you want to maybe just wait a minute or two, see if any other questions come in. Maybe you want to go to the final slide, Tony, just to remind everyone of the survey.
That sounds like a good idea. Let me just, actually, the easiest way to get there is to end the slideshow and navigate to it. And then go back to the slideshow view. I did want to just see, I wanted to check back. I think we covered questions from yesterday that may be worth bringing up again. One other good suggestion was a question, but in the end is a suggestion about, do we have a covered picnic area? I guess I should take that off the screen there so I'm not blocking the slide view. Yeah, is there a plan to have a covered picnic area at the splash pad area similar to Jackson Park? And again, that's something that we well, I shouldn't say that. There is planned to have a covered area for relief from sun at the splash pad. But I think this question also kind of hints at a picnic area. So that is specifically hasn't been addressed. So although yes, relief from the sun near the picnic, near the splash pad for parents of children using the splash pad is intended at this time and is committed to. But a covered picnic area, which would not be a surprise that Parks and Rec would push for that anyway, but that hasn't been. But now that that has been registered as a question, will be part of our discussions when we go to complete this. So that's just a question from yesterday's session that I thought people here may want to hear. Okay. Another question was about outdoor hydration stations, and I think that I personally don't know if there are any outdoor hydration stations in parks. There are in the buildings. I mean, there are water bottle fill stations, and we should, yeah, I think that's another good question that was raised, and I'm not sure what the policy is with in the regulations for those in outdoor areas in the city. So again, an item that worth considering an enhancement. So I guess this really does, this is what we want to hear more about, your experiences, what you want to see in the facility. Anything you add will certainly only make our work better to service the community here in Windsor and make this a better facility. Okay. I'm just checking my notes here to see if there's anybody else that is chiming in with a question.
There are no more questions.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I guess there's no more questions from participants. Thank you again for those people who participated. Everything will be taken into account. We certainly encourage you to give even more input. There's one more session next Thursday. So if you have more questions and you want them to be aired on air live, certainly join in and ask those questions again. And you can contact the city in other fashions as shown on the website, and all of that information will be compiled. So again, thank you all for listening. We hope we've shown you what the possibilities are and what we see as the vision for Adie Knox as to reimagine it as a vibrant space for the city and a vibrant facility for this neighborhood moving forward. Thank you. And I guess we're going to sign off at that. Bye-bye now.